What is up, everyone? I am Ryan, and I live in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. I am Canadian, but I've lived overseas for over 10 years, and one of the reasons I decided to move overseas is because I love to travel. And let's be honest, Canada doesn't really offer too many diverse travel opportunities. If I want to go to a different country that isn't the US, I have to go to Mexico, which is about a 4-hour flight away. It's just too big, it's too far away from everything, and there's also a duopoly with the airlines, so flights are really expensive. It's a mess, but we're not going to get into that right now. Meanwhile, in Cambodia, there are quite a few options for direct flights out of Phnom Penh. I'm going to cover all of them. I'm going to tell you some of my favorites. Is Cambodia a good travel hub? Is it a good place to live if you like to travel? I got you covered. All that in a bag of chips. Actually, I have a bag of chips right here. You don't mind if I eat while I talk in this video, do you? Today's video not sponsored by Tasto Crab Curry Chips. Taste the crab in every bite. I don't think that's their slogan. Oh God. See, in North America, you open the bag of chips from the top, you pull it apart. Southeast Asia, you rip across the edge. Hot tip. So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you what Phnom Penh doesn't offer. It doesn't offer long-haul flights outside of Asia. You're not going to get to Europe in one go. You're not going to get to Australia, New Zealand, North America, Africa, bleh. However, that is changing. Phnom Penh is getting a new airport. It's being built right now. So things probably will change because that new airport is going to be bigger and it's going to allow big, huge jets, the big ones that go to places like North America. So we'll see. We'll see. Don't get your hopes up, Ryan. But for now, we're just looking at direct flights within Asia. It's fine, you know, who wants to go to Europe anyway? You're going to go to Paris when you can go to Beijing, which is far more romantic. The quickest flight from Phnom Penh to another country has to be to Ho Chi Minh City, the largest city in Vietnam. You can actually get to Ho Chi Minh in a car or a bus in about 6 hours, but a flight will only take around 1 hour and it costs as little as $130 return. Vietnam is a great country for travel. Of course, Ho Chi Minh has so much history. It's a very cool city to spend a few days. Vietnam is one of my favorite countries for food, so I can spend a whole week just trying various dishes in Saigon. But if you want to get out of the city, from Ho Chi Minh, for $5, you can take a bus for 2 hours down to the Mekong Delta area. That's where the mighty Mekong River empties out into tributaries and eventually into the sea. I love this area because it's so alive with so many rivers. You can take a boat tour, visit floating markets, go to small factories that make various local products, or just relax at a hotel along the river and watch the boats and weeds float by. There are also direct flights from Phnom Penh to Hanoi, Vietnam's capital. It's about a 2-hour flight and you can get there and back for around $175. Hanoi is a really cool place, but it's also a good jumping off point for Vietnam's most beautiful attraction, Ha Long Bay. You can do day trips from Hanoi or do overnight trips where you stay on a boat in Ha Long Bay. There's also an area about a 1.5-hour drive south of Hanoi. It's called the Trang An Scenic Landscape Complex. That's a mouthful. Mouthful. The Trang An Scenic Landscape Complex is famous for its limestone karsts, much like the ones in Ha Long Bay. However, these ones are surrounded by rice paddy fields. You can stroll the roads around them or get into a small boat and have a lady take you through the canals. It's one of my favorite places in Vietnam and one that's often missed by tourists. Okay, let's go west from Phnom Penh to Bangkok, Thailand. You knew this one had to be on the list, so I'm going to go over it quickly. There's just so much to do in Bangkok. I've been there probably 7 times, and I still have a list of cool things that I need to check out there. It's also a great place to go if you want to quickly get to a beach. From the airport in Bangkok, you can jump directly on a bus to Pattaya, which is one of the more popular beach party cities in Thailand. There are around 13 or 14 flights per day to Bangkok, so it's probably the easiest and cheapest country you can get to from Cambodia. There is only 1 flight per day from Phnom Penh to the capital of Laos, Vientiane. This is actually one of the only flights on my list that I haven't taken yet, because as you can see, it's a bit pricey. But I have been to Laos a few times, and it's amazing. Vientiane is a laid-back city on the Mekong River. It's certainly worth a few days of time, but you can now get all the way up to Luang Prabang, which was just named by Lonely Planet as the top destination to visit in 2025 in all of Asia. Bangkok was number 2 and Angkor Wat was number 3. To get to Luang Prabang from Vientiane, it used to be a hellish 7-hour bus ride on terrible roads, but now Laos has a high-speed train and that trip takes just 2 hours and 20 minutes. Very much worth it, as Luang Prabang is probably one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been to. This year for Christmas, we took a direct flight from Phnom Penh to Taipei, Taiwan. What a city Taipei is. What a Republic of China Taiwan is. We easily filled up 2 weeks of vacation in Taiwan. The island is very easy to get around with high-speed trains going from one end of the country to the other in just a couple of hours. We spent a little bit of time in Taipei, but then we went down to Tainan, the historic capital, and Kaohsiung, the largest city in the south. I think Taiwan is often overlooked. I had a lot of people asking me, why are you going to Taiwan? It's cool. That's why, duh. It's home to maybe the best night markets in the entire world. Incredible food options in Taiwan. Most Western nationalities don't require a visa to visit it. It's a nice mix of modern and natural beauty. There are great hikes, hot springs, beaches with surfing, good shopping. The list goes on. There are 2 airlines that fly directly between Phnom Penh and Taipei, so you can get some pretty good prices for the 3.5-hour flight. Now, the Christmas before that, we decided we want something a little bit more Christmassy. So we decided to go to the only Catholic country in Southeast Asia, and that is the Philippines. Manila, the capital of the Philippines, is a direct 3-hour flight away. However, there is only one airline that does the route, and they only operate a few flights per week, so you're a bit limited. That being said, I'm seeing return flights for just $332 right now, so it's not expensive. From Manila, you can take ferries to other islands or head south to the southwestern part of Luzon, that's the island that Manila is on, to the province Batangas. It's about a 2-hour bus ride from Manila, and there you'll find resorts surrounded by beautiful turquoise waters. Manila itself isn't my favorite city, to be honest, but there are some attractions to see, and it is a very unique culture for Southeast Asia, although it's less unique to someone from the West. A must visit if you are living in Phnom Penh and looking to travel is Kuala Lumpur, the capital of Malaysia. You can get there from Phnom Penh in just 2 hours for around $115 return. KL is one of my favorite cities in the world. It just has everything. Stunning modern buildings, plus old charming ones. Such a mix of cultures, Malay, Chinese, Indian. Again, the food is top-notch and affordable. You can spend a week exploring the various neighborhoods in Kuala Lumpur, from the Petaling Street area, KL's Chinatown, to the Brickfields, KL's Little India. The Brickfields are actually where you'll find KL Central, the main train station in Kuala Lumpur. And from there you can get to Penang in about 4 hours by train for like $20. Penang is a very popular tourist destination. It's one of my favorite food places in the entire world. We spent a whole week in Penang about a year ago. Or from KL, find your way over to Lumut, where you can take a ferry to Pangkor Island, which has beaches and wildlife. Ipoh is another cool city that's about a 2-hour train ride away. You could even go all the way down to Singapore in about 5 hours. But why not wait and do that in a separate vacation, because there are direct flights from Phnom Penh to Singapore. The flight takes just a couple of hours and will set you back around $175 return. Singapore is a really impressive place. It's organized, clean, very modern, very cosmopolitan. The food hawker centers are maybe the single best buildings in the world to get food. A huge variety of food under one roof. That's all I really want to do when I'm in Singapore, is just go around looking for awesome dishes. It's home to a number of Bib Gourmand awarded food stalls. That's Michelin's kind of low-budget eatery award. The hawker centers do have pretty cheap food, but I will say that the rest of Singapore is quite expensive. It's probably the most expensive place on this list. Let's move on to Indonesia. You can get a direct flight from Phnom Penh to Jakarta, the Indonesian capital. I believe they operate about 5 flights per week, but the 3-hour flight usually costs just $200 return. Jakarta is another city that I'm not that keen on. You can see most of its attractions in a day or two, but Indonesia itself is one of the coolest countries I've ever traveled to. Being an island nation does make it difficult to explore the best areas quickly, but don't count out Java, the island that Jakarta is on. You can take a high-speed train from Jakarta to Bandung in about 45 minutes. This is the only high-speed train available in Indonesia right now, and it just opened like a year and a half ago. We had an unforgettable stay in Bandung where we walked through tea fields, learned about rice farming, visited an acidic lake in a collapsed volcano crater. Yeah, an acidic lake in a collapsed volcano crater. That's almost wordier than the Trangang Scenic Landscape Complex. And we took a dip in a wild hot spring. Wild because there was nobody checking to make sure it was safe. It was fun. All right, let's head up the coast to South Korea. There are a few flights per day to Incheon, which is the city that's right next to Seoul. It's the home to the biggest airport in South Korea. Incheon is a neat place. There's actually quite a bit to do there, but most people take the public transit right into Seoul, South Korea's capital. Seoul is a giant city with so much going on. There's neighborhoods like Myeongdong, which is a shopper's paradise, especially if you're into beauty care products. Ikseondong is an artistic, kind of like traditional historic neighborhood. Hongdae has a younger population, has a lot of hip shops and cafes. When I was in Seoul, I remember visiting markets, going to museums. I vaguely remember a dog cafe. There's just so much going on in South Korea that it's almost overwhelming. It's a unique place that is definitely worth traveling to. The public transit's fantastic. They like to drink. The nightlife is great. Don't try to keep up with Koreans when it comes to drinking soju. You can get there in 5 hours on a direct flight from Phnom Penh. The cost is a little high though, so watch out for deals. Let's move on to Hong Kong. I would say probably my favorite special administrative region of China. Probably. The mix of towering skyscrapers and natural beauty makes Hong Kong a unique must-visit destination. Cathay Pacific, one of the best airlines in the world, flies between Hong Kong and Phnom Penh a few times a day. It's less than 3 hours and usually costs around $320 return. We've been to Hong Kong twice for about a total of 10 days, and I feel like there's still lots to explore there. But I just love grabbing a beer, taking a ferry across the harbor, strolling the promenade, grabbing some unbelievably delicious food. The nightlife there is awesome. The transit system is so good. Whether you want to take the metro across town or you want to take a bus to a hiking trail that leads to a beach, or if you want to take a ferry to a distant island for a quiet stroll around, it's all there in Hong Kong. Very convenient, very affordable. There are so many people in Hong Kong and there's just so much going on at any given time. It's probably one of the most vibrant special administrative regions in all of China. Speaking of China, there are multiple flights to multiple cities from Phnom Penh to China, making it one of the best places to travel to from Phnom Penh. I said it. You disagree with it. You're not doing it. But I said it. I'm claiming it. Stampsies, no erases. For some reason, people don't like to travel to China. I think I get it. I think they see the tourists that are coming from China with their Gucci bags and their cigarettes, their bad haircuts, and they think that that's China, but China is way more than that. What is it, like 1.5 billion people that live there? And I'm telling you, I'd say 90% are great, awesome people. China has one of the oldest cultures in the world. The country is massive and each province is a little different. It's a cheap place to travel. It's very safe. The transportation within the country is top notch. Probably the best in the entire world. The people will surprise you with their hospitality. The food will rock your world. You think you know Chinese food, but you don't know Chinese food. Like 80% of Chinese food outside of China comes from one little area of China. So travel across China and then you can tell me you've had some Chinese food. One thing I will say is that China is a little bit difficult when it comes to just figuring shit out. English isn't widely spoken there. You can't read anything. The visa might be difficult and possibly expensive. You need a VPN if you want to use Google there. It's all very foreign, but I say that's what makes it one of the coolest places to travel, especially if you fancy yourself a seasoned traveler and you want a bit of a challenge. I believe there are around 15 direct flights to different cities in China from Phnom Penh. If you want a recommendation from me, I'd say maybe start in Guangzhou. It's just a 3-hour flight and you can get a return trip ticket for under $200. And I remember it being a really cool place to explore. Or head to Chengdu where you can eat a panda. No, see a panda. You can see a panda in Chengdu. You can't eat them there. Trust me, I've tried. Shanghai, of course, it's a huge city with so much to see. You can get there and back to Phnom Penh for around $250. Kunming, the city of eternal spring. The best weather in all of China and probably the best option when it comes to nature. I would call it kind of the Southeast Asia of China. Chongqing, now there's a unique place that will blow the chips right out of your bag. That almost covers everything, but there are a couple more places you can get to via direct flight from Phnom Penh. Yangon, Myanmar's biggest city, is just 3 hours away. I'm not really sure about traveling to Myanmar right now. I haven't really done the research, but I've been there before and it's a fantastic country. Loved it there. So when they figure out all their problems, that's definitely an option you'll want to look into. You can also get to New Delhi in India for under $300 return. If you like watching people shit in the streets, I highly recommend India. India is a tough one. I would say go to India. I'd like to go back one day, but keep your trip limited to under 2 weeks. We went for 28 days and it was just too much. After the first 2 weeks, you get sick and then you spend the rest of your vacation just like close to toilets, basically.
Okay, let's go back to the hotel and have diarrhea.
Yeah, not my favorite place. So that covers what is available, but hopefully more options will be springing up. There's talks of Turkey, Nepal, Russia, Kazakhstan, and Sarawak. That's in Malaysia, in Borneo. Fingers crossed that they make some of these happen because I'm kind of running out of options for travel here. I have never been to Nepal, Russia, Kazakhstan, or Sarawak. So please give it to me, baby. That is it for this video. Thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe below if you haven't already. Also, hit that bell icon. If you're a subscriber and you're not belling it up, you gotta bell it up because the bell tells you when the video comes out and you can be the first to watch it. I got big plans for the next video. I think it's gonna be the next video. I'm actually headed to Siem Reap in a couple of days, so you can expect some Siem Reap content coming soon. Stay care, take tuned. Stay tuned, take care, comb your hair.
Don't match up, no love, like a date. I just fade when I hit the jack. You can keep the pie. Every night I gamble, I stop. Yeah, when I check the cost, I was like, oh, that's expensive.